Okay, that's good now. Right. In case you're wondering, I'm window capturing this off of Premiere because I haven't exported the video. So that's kind of why it's weird like that, but whatever. Hello! You've caught me at a bad time because we're on a stream and we're going 2 for 2 in terms of recording commentary for the retrospective. So apologies for the awkward introduction there. Let's have a look back in the comments here. Because this is a ridiculously long video with only 5 minutes of actual combat. So let's see. Have I talked about what I wanted in the next Bayo game, story-wise, design-wise, gameplay? I think I've covered it before. Like, I feel like design... So Bayo 1 was a contrast of being ultra feminine, and then Bayo 2 was a contrast against ultra feminine, hence the very boxy, sharp shapes. So in that sense, I kind of feel like they've boxed themselves into doing like extreme opposites of each other. So I don't know what a third game is going to do in terms of design, because they kind of went one end of the spectrum than the other.
As a child, your smile was
so I don't...
warmer than the sun.
What I want for her design, like not thinking logically about what they would do for the design, but what I want for the design.
I am indeed. My name
I'm not an artist, okay, so I don't really have much of an imagination. I'm a fucking engineer.
You may address me as father.
I did like the first design a lot better, so I kind of would like to see something that goes back to that, but maybe not necessarily is the same as the first game. Gameplay-wise, I think it's basically Bayonetta 1, but with Bayonetta 2 fixes. And then fixing Umbran Climax.
How did you get the girl?
Yeah. Like, story-wise, like, I don't know. I think I theorized that maybe it was going to be like a alternate, some sort of alternate universe kind of, or alternate timeline dealio. So there might be some having to like do a Back to the Future for Bayonetta or something. I don't know. It's going to involve time shenanigans if Kamiya continues to write it.
However, for 500 years, you have been exiled from the world's affairs. You are the left eye of the eyes.
Okay, so I'm one of those people who took issue with the
Could you dispense with
just one time call me daddy line in Bayonetta 2.
Your years of
Because the scene was written to be completely serious, and it completely was not read as cheesy like the rest of the game. In fact, the tone in Bayonetta 2 was not cheesy at all. It was meant to be a poignant moment between a father and daughter who never spent the time together. That's how I've read it. So when you say, call me daddy, and she's like, daddy, daddy, and it's just fucking awkward. It's just awkward.
Your battles,
What else?
your struggles, everything you've experienced in this town has been a stepping stone.
Take the flying segments out from 2 for 3. I agree, or at least maybe fix
It has all been
the
done.
flying segments, because the flying segments were basically you're fighting on the ground, but it looks like you're in the air.
I won't ask again. Where did you get the girl?
How would I fix Umbran Climax?
Your question has been answered.
See, all the things that are a problem with Umbran Climax are related to balancing in the game, and I think if you fix the balance of how it interacts with other elements in the game, that would make it a much more fun mechanic. I think the main thing I would do is probably have it
Truly beyond
maybe...
salvation.
I would personally have it as like a burst effect or something, basically where you can turn it off or on, but if you have enough magic. rather than this thing that you turn on and then it automatically turns off after you've used a whole bar of magic, I think it is.
However, no matter how brilliant that light grows, the darkness within the
So that's
human
the
heart
main thing that I would fix with it, because it,
light
in its current implementation, it kind of just takes over everything, and it doesn't really make it a viable. Doesn't make anything else a viable use of magic.
To create a new universe in the image of the earth. To these ends, leading to the festival of resurrection 500 years ago, I fanned the flames of
Yeah, father would have been good, but that's then there was that whole going back to the whole call me daddy thing. It could have
the Creator.
referenced the whole. Well, actually, they did reference the whole "You may call me father"
Since then, I
line,
have devoted
because
myself
"You may
to
call me
this
father"
town's
line is in this
prosperity.
game, and also the song is
And
called
now
"You may
it's
call me
time for
father,"
my
or
preparations
something like
to bear
that.
fruit.
Something along those lines. It mentions father.
Will be resurrected. We will become.
Yeah, you're right, Arya. I agree with that completely.
And a new universe will take our.
You know, interestingly, I had never noticed that she says mummy in that little flashback scene just now. Yeah, I'm actually relating back to the video we're watching, funnily enough. Yeah, I had never heard that she says mummy, and I don't think there was a subtitle for it. It's weird.
Getting a bit ahead of ourselves, aren't we, Mr. Big Shot Ithaval Executive? Salvation, light. You take this
I do believe Uncommon Climax can be made so that it shares magic use, because there's a lot of other things that already share magic use. So you would need to change it so that you earn magic at a faster rate than you do currently in Bayonetta 2.
should I say
You should be able to turn it off and on at will, rather than the aging out thing. And I think the rate at which it burns down magic is okay.
I must say,
Um,
I'm truly impressed.
it just shouldn't be such a big sledgehammer that you dump on the game.
what?
Luca. Your father had problems with my.
I do wonder why they went the direction they did with Luca in Bayo 2, because
But when malicious rumors start to spread, I must see to it that they come to a stop. For being kind enough to ascertain that my long-lost eraser was at the bottom of some lake, I granted him his final wish and accepted his permanent resignation.
You bastard!
I do think that a lot of the decisions made in Bayo 2 were related to, well, that was done in the first game, we can't do that. So,
You are of no
for instance, there's concept art of Acia as a lady, and it was a really cool looking design, but then they decided, actually no, actually I have the book right here next to me, I'm going to look at the commentary they said for it, if I can find it really quickly. Because God knows the art book for this game was very, very limited. Don't know why they didn't put as much work in here. Like, if you look at the concept art book, it seems like they only drew what they needed, and they didn't have any, like, or very little sort of, like, concepts for every character. Like, hell, I keep going over this because I like this. There's a concept for Luca here in Bayo 2 where he wore a trench coat and his scarf was like long and stuff, and he looked like basically a private investigator, and it was like really good. I don't really know why they went for the fucking cowboy thing.
I suppose you've met Jean.
Let's see.
While she sealed
Let's
you
see.
away and
Lopter drafts.
trouble, after
When I
all
started
the
doing
drama
roughs of Lopter, we hadn't done much work on Noaton yet, so I tried to incorporate Noaton's design elements into these variations.
lack of obedience required a bit of
Doesn't
mental
mention it being a lady, it's not the one I'm looking for.
Her tragic
But yeah, I swear to God, they mention how we can't have the boss in the evil guy in this game be a lady because we did that last game,
awakening the left
so it's gonna be a dude.
eye is soon. Fear not, my dear, sweet Cereza. Do not fear your failures. Stand tall, my child. Realize your true potential.
I do think Umbran Climax, there's a cooldown on when you can turn it off and on, so I do think they should keep that in. Like yeah, if you could turn it off and on at a whim, it'd be a little bit too powerful, so you need to balance that. But I think, you know, any suggestions that we make as a fandom would be better than what they've done so far. You want to talk about how a lot of the concepts in the art look better than the final design? Well, I do wonder why they didn't put baby Bayonetta into the game. Like, why the fuck did she draw that? See, I wish I was cultured enough to know more about architectural styles and art styles, because then that way maybe I would have a better idea of what direction they'd go for the next game. But I don't. So I'm going to trust people who know better than me to suggest, it's going to go this direction now, and like, okay. Yeah, some of the concept art for the bike stuff, for Jean's biker outfit looked really good. And I can only assume that Hashimoto made the final call on what he thought would be there, and he seemed to be driven from a very much, this happened in 1 so I can't do it in 2. Which is a shame. Actually, wasn't someone gonna mod in the baby outfit into Bayonetta 1? Like, as gross as it is, that needs to happen. Really funny how the concept art books for both games are roughly the same size. I mean, the Bayonetta 2 one is a little bit skinnier. But they're mostly the same size, and yet the Bayonetta 2 one has so little content. Because they padded everything out with, like, white space. Okay, so if Saga Evan's gonna make the Bayonetta mod, I will install it and I will play it. And I'm gonna have to choose the most awkward cutscene to, like, show off. So I have my Bayonetta, like, shelf next to me here, and I totally forgot that I actually had the game guide. And you can tell I've never opened it because the front cover is stiff as heck. Oh no, I have looked at this. basically it confirmed that this game, Bayonetta 2, was not very well tailored between different verses and chapters and stuff.
Haven't seen the half of it.
So, for instance,
I've seen enough.
let's have a look at the fight here.
Well, that about wraps it up, huh?
So, is this the fight where you fight Sloth? No. Ah, yeah. So, for instance, here, the fight against the Prophet in Bayonetta 2 has the same combo requirements on all difficulties. But the time's a little bit different. But that's about it. So first second has, for platinum, 2.5 minutes and 38,000, whereas third and infinite climax has the same combo requirement but gives you an extra half a minute or an extra minute.
No need to be afraid, little one. The nightmare is over. Everything was just a dream.
There are pyramid
You're a
pants?
strong little girl. There is nothing you cannot overcome. Yes, I found it. So don't you worry anymore. You just keep your treasure safe too.
I did find it really annoying how between Bayonetta 1 and 2, I didn't think she sounded the same at all. It's like whoever was directing the VA did not do a great job.
And let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words.
It's like really strange. Bayonetta 2 is like some sort of alternate universe thing where it's like it looks like it's the same but it reads slightly differently. Like, you know, they all got a facelift and they just don't quite sound the same. Yeah, she just sounded a lot more classy.
When you love something, never lose it. Understand, little one? You must keep it safe, close to your heart. I'm not afraid anymore, Mummy. No matter what. There's nothing I cannot do.
Well, I think a lot of people always put up the voice difference to the fact that she remembers her past and has people she cares about now. But I didn't think it would change it that much.
And now it is done. The right eye oversees the light.
I do think it was a shame that
The left
this
eye
Boulder actor wasn't
oversees
the same as young Boulder, because young Boulder was not quite as good as old Boulder.
to oversee the world. It was never the woman known as Bayonetta that I set my sights upon. It was you as a child, Cereza, that I saw. For she was the one who
Well,
saw the
fingers
world
crossed
through
that Bayonetta
innocent
3
eyes.
will be the best of both
And she was
worlds.
the one who could give rise to a new history. It was her energy that could awaken the left eye. This has all worked out splendid. Let us begin, Cereza. The time is at hand.
You know, I know someone's gone through and actually written down exactly what happens in this game, but it's still incomprehensible to me this many years after playing it. Jean's design in Bayonetta 2 is really frustrating because in every single bit of concept art, having long hair looks great. But then when you actually implement it in a game, it's like this weird cape that just hangs off her shoulders, essentially.
Overseeing a new era, a new reality, to which we will devote our
And I don't know whether there's a way to make it look good the way it looks good in concept art. Like maybe if it didn't flare out like the way it does at the moment.
May Jubileus the Creator grace all of its creations.
Damn. Also, what's with going into the eyes and then when she gets pulled out in the next chapter and the eye is crying and what the fuck is going on with this game? I do really hate the fact that Jean's face looks completely like her mug is broken looking in Bayonetta 2. Like, I think Ursa or someone has posted a screenshot of her where she just looks derpy, like her eyes are a little bit too far apart or something. It's just not good. So I think someone did mention earlier about Astral Chain. I never played Astral Chain, and I think given how little info there was before it got released, I think it was maybe a couple of months from announcement to release, it didn't look like my sort of thing. But were there any sort of, I guess, concept that they would presumably pull over into Bayonetta 3? Because I basically imagine a lot of the games that Platinum are releasing now, any sort of concept they're doing will probably get refined and put into Bayo 3 if it's appropriate. Anyway, I'm done with that. I think we decided as a chat that we weren't going to do the last episode in this retrospective series because we're going to save it for whenever a Bayo 3 trailer comes out. So I guess we'll see you for the next episode in a couple of years. Yeah? Yeah.